Let the students join for 4 minutes, only 34 answers. Can you make your video on? Let's see, how are you? Yeah, nice to see digitally to all of you. So everybody fine at home? That's
Yes,
good.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So I think all of you got the first dose of your vaccine. Hey, Chomi Tip Goswami, what happened? You are keeping a lot of beer. Huh? You should save it. When is your next dose of vaccine? In the month of August or anybody having September? Second dose of vaccine.
Sir, I have in September.
September, sir.
September.
September, yeah. I think many of you may complete by September or October. So network connectivity is okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What happens? Students are not doing it on 44. Shall we start or wait for a few minutes? Will we start? Let be 50. You got 73, not total.
Yes, sir.
So now only 45. Almost. What about the other students? Is the slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah. So today we just discussed about the histology of the salivary glands?
Yes, sir.
So, as we have discussed in the organization of organs, these glands, they are considered as the parenchymatous organs. These glands, okay? Glands means whether it is salivary glands, the liver or the pancreas, okay? Or any other adrenal glands, okay? Means endocrine glands. They are considered as the parenchymatous organs. So, in the organization of parenchymatous organs, you will find two components. One is parenchyma, another is stroma. Parenchyma means secretory units and duct, okay? And stroma means it is the capsules made up of connective tissue along with the strata. So now here you will find this organization. That means you will find parenchyma and stroma. So these salivary glands, so grossly we have already discussed there are three major salivary glands. Parotid salivary glands, mandibular salivary gland, and the sublingual salivary glands. Okay, we have already discussed in the gross anatomy, parotid, mandibular, and sublinguals. So you know the location of the parotid glands. In the retromandibular fossa, just behind the atlas, just behind the atlas, the wing of the atlas. Here the depression just behind the mandibles. Okay, retromandibular fossa. So these parotid salivary glands, as you know, it is a parenchymatous organs. It contains many lobules with septa. Okay, so and by nature, under classification, it is called as compound acinar glands. That means you will find many acini. And it is by the type of secretion, it is called serous glands. Okay, by morphology, it is a compound acinar gland, morphology compound acinar, and nature of secretory product is a serous. Of course, in case of dog, you may find few mucus acini, but it is predominantly serous in most of the domestic animals, parotid salivary gland. It is predominantly serous. Few mucus acini observed in the dog. And by morphology, it is a compound acinar glands, and it is having many lobules with septa. That means the glands will be supported with the stroma. Stroma means that is the connective tissue. So gland is covered, histologically is covered by the connective tissues, and from the connective tissue, septa will invaginate into the interior of the glands and divided the entire gland into many lobules. Many lobules. So what you will find in the lobules, within these lobules, you will find many acini. That is a secretory units. So acini you will find in the lobules, and they means the acini, the secretory units. The acini means the secretory units of the glands. They are lined by pyramidal cells having basally placed nuclei. And their apex are filled up with zymogen granules. And these zymogen granules, they contains the precursors of digestive enzymes. So the structure is like that. It is having connective tissue support from their septa invaginate. So in the interior of the glands, you will find many lobules, and these lobules you will find many acini, and acinis are lined by pyramidal cells having basally placed nucleus. And apical part of the cells means the top part of the cell means between the nucleus and plasma membrane. Apical apex means between the nucleus and the plasma membrane. Okay, so that part is filled up with zymogen granules. Because in the basal position, nuclei is there. So they are above the nuclei, you will find that is called as the apical part up to the plasma membrane. That is filled up with. In addition to these pyramidal cells which line the acini, you may find another cell called myoepithelial cells. Already you have studied the epithelium. The myoepithelial is located between secretory cell and basement membranes. Because when you will find the pyramidal cells, you will find the basement membranes. So between the basement membrane and the secretory cells, you will find the myoepithelial cells. Now you know within the lobules, you will find acini, So the lumen, acini means they are having an opening in the center. So the lumen of the acinus will open into intercalated duct. And these intercalated ducts, they are lined by low cuboidal epithelium. Then intercalated duct will further opens into the salivary duct or the striated duct, and these ducts are lined by simple columnar. Epithelium changes from low cuboidal to simple columnar. And salivary duct, they become larger and they becomes the interlobular duct, in which case it is lined by simple columnar epithelium. And finally, the interlobular duct will drain to the open to the parotid duct, and parotid duct will lined by stratified squamous epithelium. That is its duct system. So, how the product secreted by the acini will go to the parotid duct. Do you remember another name for parotid duct? Anybody? Yes? Hello?
Sir, sublingual glands.
Pardon?
Sir, sublingual glands.
Parotid duct synonym.
So Stenson's duct.
Yes, correct. Very good. Stenson duct. Stenson duct. This is important. Sometimes examiner asks. Means they will ask. Means Stenson duct, in which gland you will find. It's parotid duct, Stenson duct. I have told you in gross studies. So in general, the summary of the salivary gland, that means the parotid salivary gland is like that. It's covering connective tissue capsules. Okay, from capsules, septa in basinets, and on either side of the septa you will find many lobules. That means inside the interior of the glands, many lobules, and these lobules are filled with acini. Acinis are lined by pyramidal cells, where the nucleus is basally positioned and apex is having zymogen granules. Between secretory cells and the basement membrane, myoepithelial cells are there. Regarding the duct system, you will find 4 ducts: intercalated duct, salivary duct, interlobular, and parotid duct. 4 ducts you will find. That means from the lumen of the acinus, intercalated duct starts, it carries the product lined by low cuboidal epithelium, then it goes to striated or salivary duct lined by simple columnar, then it goes to interlobular duct lined by simple columnar, and finally to the parotid duct. So parotid duct, if you remember, in different position it open into the buccal vestibule. Gross anatomy, the oral cavity having 2 parts. Okay, oral cavity proper and the vestibule. So in different position in the buccal vestibule, parotid duct is opens. So low cuboidal, simple columnar, okay, and this stratified squamous. So duct is see, salivary and interlobular duct is same epithelium, simple columnar epithelium. But in the first duct, intercalated duct, it is low cuboidal, and parotid duct, it is stratified squamous epithelium. That is in general about the salivary gland histology, which is duct system. Next comes the mandibular salivary glands. So here you see mandibular, it is a mixed gland. That's why I am telling seromucous. Mandibular salivary gland, it is a seromucous glands or a mixed gland by nature of the secretory product, and it is compound tubuloacinar gland. Compound tubuloacinar gland, and especially the mucus acini predominates in dog. Clear? It is a mixed gland, compound tubuloacinar gland, and mucus acini predominant in John. Though you will find serous acini and mucus acini, but mucus acini you will find more in dogs. And myoepithelial cells you will find between secretory cells and basement membrane. And duct system is similar to the parotid duct. Okay, but do not write in exam that duct system is similar to the parotid gland. Okay, if I ask you the histology of mandibular salivary gland, then you have to write. That means the acini of the mandibular salivary gland, it will open into the intercalated duct lined by low cuboidal epithelium. Intercalated duct in terms ulja pura striated or the salivary duct lined by simple columnar, and striated or the salivary duct will open into the interlobular duct lined by simple columnar, and then interlobular duct in terms finally it will go to the mandibular duct. So here it will be, instead of parotid, it will be the mandibular duct. You got my point? Hello? Yeah, but it don't write as parotid duct in case of mandibular. So that's why duct system similar to the parotid glands. So instead of parotid, you have to write mandibular. Sublingual salivary gland, same, it is a mix. Mix means you will find seromucus, serous and mucus acini, and by morphology it is compound tubuloacinar. By morphology it is compound tubuloacinar, and you will find clusters of serous acini which predominates in dogs. Okay, and dogs, and it can be stained by what is called the pus. Pus means periodic. It's a periodic stiff stain. Yes, Malali sir.
Good morning, sir.
Anything, please?
Sir, for tomorrow's exam, the question will be sent in Google Classroom.
Yeah. Google Classroom.
And after
all exam, all will be in the Google Classroom. So for all subjects, you have to concern the respective head of the department for other subjects. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
After completion, also we have to submit in Google Classroom only, sir.
Yes.
And sir, we have to keep our video on.
Yeah.
And sir, audio.
Audio is not required, I think.
Okay, sir.
So what is the meaning of pus? Hello?
Yes, sir.
What is the meaning of pus? Periodic acid skip stain, pus. Okay, so this sublingual salivary gland, which is mixed seromucus gland, it is compound tubuloacinar. So you will find clusters of serous acini which predominates in dog, and that can be stained in histological laboratory. That can be stained with pus stain. The serous acini can be stained with pus stain, periodic acid skip. And duct system is similar to the parotid gland. That means instead of parotid, here you have to write sublingual. Rest are happened. Lumen of the acinal intercalated duct, salivary duct, interlobular duct, and lastly it will be the sublingual salivary duct. Got the point? Okay, that's good. But don't write duct is similar to the parotid gland. So then comes the pharynx. So pharynx, as we know, this pharynx, it's the tubular. It is not a parenchymatous organs. Okay, so it is a tubular organs, pharynx. So if you see grossly pharynx, three part, you will find what is called the oropharynx, nasopharynx, and laryngopharynx. Okay, so here you see the tunica mucosa. So once it is a tubular organ, so you will find all the four layers. Means you should get all the four layers, histological layer, tunica mucosa, tunica submucosa, tunica muscularis, and tunica serosa or adventitia. Okay, so here you can see, here you can see the tunica mucosa. Tunica mucosa here first is lamina epithelialis mucosae. You will find stratified squamous epithelium, but you will find that is in the oropharynx. Okay, the nasopharynx part, because in the pharynx grossly you will find oropharynx, nasopharynx, and laryngopharynx. Most of the nasopharynx part, it is lined by the ciliated pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium. Pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium you will find in the nasopharynx. Okay, and that will continue to the laryngopharynx, because in the respiratory system, while you studied in the epithelium, the respiratory system, the epithelium is mostly the ciliated, either ciliated pseudo-stratified columnar or ciliated columnar epithelium you will find. Okay, you have studied, of course, you have also studied about ciliated pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium, which systems are lined by this type of epithelium in the respiratory system. So lamina epithelialis stratified squamous epithelium, and nasopharynx is by ciliated pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium. And there is low lamina muscularis. Third layer of tunica mucosa is absent. That's why we term as lamina propria tunica submucosa. We mostly will find collagen and elastic fibers with lymphatic tissues and mucus glands. That is about the propria submucosa. And tunica muscularis, you will find entirely skeletal muscles, and tunica adventitia is DIC. DICT means dense irregular connective tissue. So in short form it is written as DICT. Okay, but I have not written it here. So this is the structure of the pharynx. Tunica mucosa, stratified squamous epithelium, except the nasopharynx. Here the epithelium changes to ciliated pseudo-stratified columnar. Propria submucosa, collagen elastic fibers with lymphatic tissue and mucus glands. Muscularis is skeletal muscle, and adventitia is irregular, dense irregular connective tissue. Coming to the esophagus. Grossly, how many parts of the esophagus?
2 parts.
What are the 2 parts? What are the 2 parts of esophagus? Tell me.
One is cervical.
Another is?
Another is abdominal. No, sir.
Abdominal. Yes. There are 3 parts of the esophagus: cervical part, thoracic part, and short abdominal part. Clear? Grossly. And one of the very important point is that the esophagus is a typical example of tubular organ. That means all the layers, all the 4 layers of the typical tubular organs you will find in the esophagus. Okay, you will find in the next intestine also. Okay, but here this is a typical organ. So this is a very typical exemplary organs, esophagus, where all the layers, all the histological layer of typical tubular organs are present. So that's why also first you see tunica mucosa, and the tunica mucosa you will find lamina epithelialis mucosa. First layer, it is keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. But against the type of keratinization is varies in different animals. So if you see the cattle it is highly keratinized. The epithelium is highly keratinized in cattle. More keratinized, it is not highly, but little more in horse. Pigs slightly keratinized, and dogs it is non-keratinized. So this point is important, how the keratinization varies in different animals, because it is a typical tubular organs. So if somebody asks you, all right, write about the histological layers of the typical tubular organs, so you can write about the histology of esophagus. That is also just like as I have given in the first class, typical tubular organization of organs. Okay, so here lamina epithelialis lined by keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, highly keratinized in cattle, more in horse, slightly keratinized in pigs, non-keratinized in dogs. Coming to the next layer of tunica mucosa, lamina propria mucosae, collagen elastic fibers with lymphatic tissue. Connective tissue is more dense. So what is its meaning? What is the meaning of it? Connective tissue is more dense. Okay. Its meaning is that normally connective tissues are more in the tunica submucosa layers. Tunica submucosa, where you will find also connective tissue. Normally, in general, tunica submucosa connective tissues are more. But here in the esophagus, the lamina propria mucosae, here connective tissue is more dense. More amount of connective tissues you will find in the lamina propria mucosae. That's how it differs from the tunica submucosa. Then lamina muscularis mucosae, you will find longitudinally oriented smooth muscle bundles. Lamina muscularis mucosae. So these are the three layers comes under tunica mucosa. Lamina epithelialis mucosae, lamina propria mucosae, lamina muscularis mucosae. Coming to the tunica submucosa, next layer, tunica submucosa, it is lined by loose connective tissue. Tunica submucosa is lined by loose connective tissue with arteries, veins, lymph vessels, nerve, and seromucous glands are present in this layer. Submucosal gland or seromucous gland, that means you can secrete both serous and the mucus mixed gland you will find. Clear? And regarding the glands also it is different. You see, like the pattern of keratinization varies in different animals. Similarly, the glands, the location of the glands are also varies in different animals. Seromucous glands are present. So in case of cattle, you will find initially the glands, pharyngoesophageal junction. Pharyngoesophageal, that means just beginning part or initial part of the esophagus, near pharynx. Okay? Cranial part of the esophagus, you will find the seromucous glands, cattle. Horse also, you will find pharyngoesophageal junction, cranial part of the esophagus. Okay? So, pigs, you will find the entire cranial half. Okay? Dogs, throughout the esophagus, you will find. So, it means is, so pharyngoesophagus, that means the cranial part also near its junction to the pharynx, you will find the seromucous glands. Later, you will won't find in middle part or in the caudal part, you won't find. Horse, again, at the junction, near to the pharynx, you will find the seromucous glands. Pigs, not near the junctions, but in the cranial half of the esophagus, you will find. Okay? And in the dogs, you will find through the entire esophagus. This is the pattern of location of the seromucous glands in the esophagus. And by this only histologically, if you want to identify the esophagus of different animals, no? You can see the glands, you can easily identify. Then comes to the third layers, tunica muscularis. Tunica muscularis, two layers of muscle, inner circular and outer longitudinal you will find. And this muscle, tunica muscularis, as I have told you, okay? As I have told you, these muscles also, mostly you will find smooth muscle, but in some organs you may find the skeletal muscles, as I have told you in my first class. So these muscles in ruminants and dogs, they are entirely skeletal muscle. That means tunica muscularis, you will find two layers of muscle, and these muscles are entirely skeletal in ruminants and dog. Horse, it is a mix actually. The skeletal muscle you will find in cranial third, then you will find smooth muscle in the caudal third. But in case of pigs, little difference with the horse, that except the middle third, both muscles are present. Both means skeletal and smooth muscles are present. Coming to the fourth layer, tunica serosa or the tunica adventitia. Tunica serosa or adventitia. So esophagus, as you know, cervical, thoracic and short abdominal part you will find. So cervical esophagus, mostly in our neck regions, it is outside of the any body cavities. So you will find a loose connective tissue. That means it is the adventitia. Got my point? Cervical part of the esophagus, it is loose connective tissue. That is the adventitia. But the thoracic part of the esophagus, that is inside the body cavities, thoracic cavities, where you will find the serous membranes. So it is tunica serosa. Got it? Okay. Then you can see, lastly, esophagus stomach junction. That means I am not told directly as the abdominal part. Esophagus stomach junction means the short abdominal part. Okay. The esophagus stomach junction from the thoracic part, you will find a short abdominal part of the esophagus. I'm talking about that. So esophagus stomach junction, that area, that means the short abdominal part, a mesothelium covering. Mesothelium covering means you will find a serosa, okay? You will find a serosa in dogs, but in other it is lacking. Esophagus stomach junction, a mesothelium covering is lacking except dogs. Got my point? Normally, this what is called short abdominal part of the esophagus also should have the mesothelium, means the serosa. Mesothelium means simple squamous epithelium, like the serous cavities. Okay, so here serosa means you will find thoracic esophagus. Serosa means it is a mesothelial covering. A short abdominal part also you should get the mesothelial covering, but mesothelial covering in the short abdominal part in dogs, not in other animals. That's why I mentioned it. Esophagus stomach junction, a mesothelium covering is lacking except dogs. That means in the abdominal part in dog only you will find serosa, not in other species. Mesothelium is lacking. Clear? So any point in this? Salivary glands carrying esophagus.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So could you please explain tunica muscularis again, sir?
Tunica muscularis.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tunica muscularis having two layers of muscles. Normally, in other organ also, tunica muscularis means you will find two muscle layers. Normally, one is called as inner circular, another is outer longitudinal. The pattern, inner circular and outer longitudinal muscle layer you will find. But simply, I told you the two layers of muscle you will find. But specifically, if you go, that you will find inner circular plus OL, outer longitudinal, two muscle layers. Okay. So shortly, inner circular plus outer longitudinal muscle layer you will find. And this muscle, the nature of the muscle, because muscles, there are three types of muscles. That is, one is skeletal muscle, smooth muscles, and the cardiac muscles. In generally, tunica muscularis, you will find in almost 90% of the tubular organs, you will find smooth muscle, which are organs. In 90% of the organs, you will find smooth muscle. But in esophagus, some part you will find skeletal muscles that I am talking about. In ruminants and dog, entire esophagus, you will find skeletal muscles. In ruminants and dogs, in entirely skeletal muscle in the tunica muscularis. But in horse, cranial third of the esophagus, you will find skeletal muscles. Then in the caudal third, you will find smooth muscle. So ruminants and dog, you won't find smooth muscle, you will find only the skeletal muscle in the tunica muscularis. In horse, cranial third, you will find skeletal muscle, but in caudal third, you will find smooth muscle. And pigs, okay, in the middle part, you will find smooth and skeletal muscle. Okay, but in cranial third, you will find skeletal. Got the point?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anybody having any? Anybody having any points? Hello? No point? Okay. Let's go to the next organs, the stomach. At least beginning part of the stomach. Atanda, grossly you have studied the stomach? Hello? Grossly, how many types of stomach?
Two types. Monogastric and polygastric.
Okay, monogastric and polygastric, right. Monogastric, you can say simple stomach, is not it? Okay, polygastric means complex stomach, is not it? Which animal is having complex stomach? Ruminants. Cattle. Okay, good. So, yes. So histologically, if you see, we are not talking about monogastric or polygastric. Okay, in general, histologically, you will find in a stomach, one is called as glandular mucosa and non-glandular mucosa. Glandular and a non-glandular mucosa. Okay. So glandular and non-glandular. So this carnivore is having only the glandular mucosa. Other animals, you will find glandular and non-glandular mucosa in the stomach. Whether it is a monogastric or polygastric stomach, so you will find both part, glandular and non-glandular part. But in case of dog, okay, only the glandular mucosa you will find. And here you see the stomach wall has all the layers of the typical tubular organs. All the typical tubular organs layers means tunica mucosa, tunica submucosa, tunica muscularis, and tunica serosa. All you will find. Now you see non-glandular region of the tunica mucosa. Now before coming to the non-glandular, let me see what do you mean by glandular and non-glandular. So non-glandular mucosa means here the epithelium you will find simple columnar. It is lined by simple columnar epithelium. The non-glandular means, which is very extensive in case of ruminant stomach, non-glandular, rumen reticulum abomasum. Rumen reticulum and omasum. Okay, here you will find it is lined by stratified squamous epithelium. So, see, so glandular mucosa means you must know the glandular mucosa, here lining epithelium is simple columnar, non-glandular means it is lining epithelium is stratified squamous epithelium. And carnivore species do not have non-glandular part, only the glandular mucosa. So regarding the non-glandular regions, non-glandular region of the tunica mucosa, okay, so how it is? So as I have told you, carnivores is having only glandular part. That means non-glandular region is absent in carnivores. Carnivore is having only glandular mucosa. It means non-glandular region absent in carnivores. So what is Margoplicatus? Have you studied? Or you are studying the stomach in abdominal part, gross, not yet. Okay, so it is very simple. You will study in details. This is the junction of glandular part and non-glandular part of the stomach in horse stomach. Okay, so horse's stomach will be having again glandular mucosa and non-glandular mucosa. So the junction between the glandular and non-glandular mucosa, you will find an elevated structure, and that is known as Margoplicatus. Very simple, the junction of the glandular and non-glandular part or the mucosa of the stomach in horses is called as Margoplicatus. This is junction. And these non-glandular regions, it is greatest development in ruminant stomach. That means the rumen, the reticulum, the omasum. Okay? So all the three parts it comprises or it constitutes the non-glandular region. So this non-glandular region is greatest developed. Okay, highly developed in ruminant stomach. Only the abomasum, that is a glandular mucosa, which will be lined by simple columnar epithelium, and these non-glandular regions, as I have told you, is lined by stratified squamous epithelium. That is in general. So this is about the highlights of the non-glandular region of the stomach. Okay, absent in carnivores, known as Margoplicatus in horses, greatest development in ruminant stomach, and lined by stratified squamous epithelium. Now coming to the glandular regions of the tunica mucosa. Okay. Okay. So why we are talking about the glandular regions? So glandular regions means the glandular part of the stomach. That means the entire, you can say, entire stomach of the carnivores, because carnivore is having only glandular part, no glandular part. So while we're talking about the ruminants, we'll take about now here abomasum, glandular part. Okay. So similarly, the glandular part of the pig stomach, the glandular part of the horse stomach. You understand or not? Yeah. So where we are talking about glandular region means now we are talking about only abomasum in apple. Okay. We are talking entire stomach of carnivores, because carnivores do not have the non-glandular part. And we are talking about the glandular part of pig stomach, glandular part of horse stomach. So how it is histologically. So here you will find many glandular regions of the tunica mucosa. You will find many gastric folds, the gastric pits, as well as the gastric glands. Okay. And these gastric glands, you see the gastric folds and gastric pits, they are lined with a simple columnar epithelium. And this rapid turnover, because this simple columnar epithelium, they divide rapid turnover by mitosis in the gastric pits every 3 to 4 days. Okay. So every 3 to 4 days mitosis takes place, as well as there is synthesis, okay, or turnover of the columnar epithelial cells. Mitosis takes place in the gastric pits. And these gastric glands, now where these gastric glands are located? These gastric glands are densely packed in the lamina propria. Lamina propria, these gastric glands. So then what will happen between the glands, between the bases of the glands and the lamina muscularis, the next layer. So in the propria, lamina propria, you will find gastric glands, and between bases of the glands and lamina muscularis, there is an additional layer of collagen fibers you will find in dog, that is called as stratum compactum. Remember, stratum compactum, this layer you won't find in other species. The characteristic of dog. What is stratum compactum? In dog, stratum compactum means you will find a layer of collagen fibers between lamina propria and lamina muscularis, or between the 3 layers of the muscle. So what are these? This IO means inner oblique, middle circular, outer longitudinal. These are the 3 layers of the muscle. Lamina muscularis, inner oblique, middle circular, and outer longitudinal muscle layer. Inner oblique, middle circular, and outer longitudinal muscle layers. Clear? And entire glandular regions of the tunica mucosa is divided again into 3 parts: cardiac, fundic, and pyloric, depending upon the shape of the glands. Shape of the glands. So in general, glandular part of the stomach, what you will find? Glandular part of the stomach, many gastric fold elevations and depression, gastric pits you will find. Many elevation, many depression. Depression is the pits, elevation the folds. Okay. So in the folds you will find these are lined by the gastric, simple columnar epithelium, and this epithelium they replace every 3 to 4 days by the process of mitosis in the gastric pits. And the gastric glands will be located in the lamina propria. In case of dog, between the bases of the glands and lamina muscularis, there is an additional collagen fiber layer called as stratum compactum. And lamina muscularis is having inner oblique, middle circular, and outer longitudinal layers. An entire glandular region is divided into 3 parts: cardiac gland regions, fundic gland regions, and pyloric gland regions. Cardiac gland, fundic glands, and the pyloric gland regions. These are the 3 gland regions, okay? You will find the entire glandular part of the stomach. Here you can see histologically. Okay, I am talking about gastric folds and the gastric pits. These are the gastric folds. You have seen the elevation, gastric folds. Okay, here these are the epithelium. All those, these are the epithelium. Okay, then this is the gastric pits, the depression. GP, gastric pits. The blue arrow is visible. Visible or not? Yeah. So this is the gastric pits.
Yes,
Okay. Gastric pits, and you see EPI. There is the epithelial layer. So epithelium. I am talking about the simple columnar. Okay. Simple columnar epithelium. So then, have you seen the lamina propria? Here you will find these layers is the lamina propria. These are gastric glands. Have you seen? This is the lamina propria. Lamina propria, and then you will find muscularis mucosae, the muscle layers. Muscle layers. Okay, and in the propria itself, you may find the lymphatic nodules. This is the lamina propria. Lamina propria, and you will find the lymphatic nodules. So that is about the what is called in general. Okay, then we'll go in details next to the three different regions of the glandular part of the stomach. Three different regions of the glandular part of the stomach. That is cardiac gland regions, fundic gland regions, and the pyloric gland region, or cardiac part, fundic part, as well as the pyloric part of the stomach. Any confusion up to this point? Tell me. Hello? No? Okay. So in that case, I will stop here today. And did you receive my presentation yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
yes, sir.
So and for today's class, I will again give you this one about the up to the esophagus. Okay, stomach part. When I complete, I will give to you. All right.
Yes, sir.
I will give you today up to the esophagus part what we have discussed. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.